Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Now Fashion Hub, the best fashion channel in the world. So today, I would love us to quickly learn how to cut a chinos trouser. Chinos trouser. So without wasting time, let's hit into the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn your notification bell on so that whenever I drop amazing contents like this, you will be notified. Yeah, so without wasting time, let's hit into the video. There are just a few differences that I'm going to show you between a plain trouser and a chinos trouser. If not, it looks a bit the same, but there are some differences. Like for instance, the pockets. If you're using a jeans pocket on the chinos trouser, and then the crotch and some basic things like that. So I'm going to show you as we start cutting. So without wasting time, let's copy down our measurements and hit into our video. Give me a thumb up, I will appreciate that. So for the measurement I'm going to be using, I'm going to be using a waist measurement of 28. Waist measurement of 28. We have a trouser length of 34. This person is not quite tall. Okay, that's why the trouser length is 34 inches. Our measurement is in inches. And now we're going to have in a tie. The tie is 22 inches. And the knee, of course, the knee is 16 inches. So these measurements are not quite big. This person is an average size person, not a dwarf. Just a little bit person. So the ankle, I'm going to be using 6.5. That is 13. All right. That's for the ankle measurement. I'm going to be using 13. So without wasting time, let's move into our video and do our cutting. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step way of cutting a trouser. All right. So not just the chinos. I'm going to show you step by step because most of the times we are having challenges of what to do first when we step on the table to cut. I'm going to be guiding us on how to do that. So first we are going to identify our waistline, right? So this is our waistline. I'm going to mark out our waistline here. So this is our waistline, okay? This is our waistline I've marked out here. So the next thing I'm going to mark out is the crotch line. All right. So how do we get our crotch? That is to start with. But let's finish with the waist first. So after marking out the waistline, the next thing you are going to do is to take, before we take the side, let's get a straight line from the side that will also guide our measurements. Okay, our measurements are beginning from this line here. All right. This line here, this is where our measurements are going to begin. So any measurement we are taking, our vertical measurement will start from here, while our horizontal measurement will start from this line. Alright, vertical this way, horizontal this way. So the next thing I'm going to do is to minus ½ inch from here. Alright, so minus ½ inch from here. You can see that. The next thing we'll now do is to take our waist. That is the next step now, is to take our waist measurement, and our waist today is 28. Our waist is 28. All right. So if you divide waist by 4, which is the normal standard of dividing waist when cutting, 28 divided by 4 will give you what? Will give you 7. All right. So this is our 7. Okay. And we're going to add ½ inch seam allowance to that 7. So this is it. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is to remove ¾ inch here. Not 1 or 3/4 is fine. So I'm going to remove ¾ inch here. All right, that's like 1 inch. So next I'm going to do is to join this point here to my beginning of the waistline here. So that is the next step. So the next step we're going to do now is to now get our crotch. So that we'll now get our crotch line, we'll get our knee, and then we'll get the length of our trouser. So our crotch is simply waist the standard measurement for crotch, for getting crotch. In my videos, I have a video on how to get crotch measurement perfectly. All right. So if you can check my channel, you will see that video. You will enjoy it. So how to get our crotch is simply waist measurement divide by 4 plus 1 inch or 1.5 inches or 2 inches. All right. So for chinos trouser, okay, because if we look at the crotch of a chinos trouser, it is not as free as the crotch of a plain trouser. That is the first difference we are noting. All right. The crotch of a chinos trouser is not, I repeat, it's not as free as the crotch of a plain trouser. So for plain trouser, when you get your waist measurement by 4, you add either 1 inch or 1.5 inches or 2 inches to it. But for chinos trouser, you don't add, you leave it like that. So our waist here is 28 divided by 4, that will be what? 7. So I'm going to mark our crotch length at what? 7. All right. Where the customer has a very big waist, at most you will reduce from the division. You will not add, you will rather reduce half inch or 1 inch as the case might be. But for chinos, you do not add 1 inch or 1.5 after dividing your waist measurement by 4. I hope this is taken. So that's one of the basic differences between a plain trouser and a chinos trouser. So we have gotten our crotch line here. This is our crotch line at 8. From here is at 8, but this way we are dealing is 7, right? So we're going to take a measurement from here so that we can extend this line to this side. So this is 8. We bring it here, we still have 8. So that we can extend this line here, all right? Okay, so we extended our crotch line. The next thing we'll do is to get the half length of our trouser, and half length is simply the length of the trouser divided by 2. For this trouser, the length is what? Is 34 divided by 2, that will be 17. But like I normally do, I don't use the 17 complete. After dividing my trouser length by 2, I don't use what I get completely. I remove 2 inches from it. For instance, if the trouser length of this trouser was 40 and I divide by 2 to get the half length of my trouser to the knee point, I'll be having what? 20. But instead of using 20, I normally minus 2 inches from it. Therefore, I end up using what? 18. Okay. So for this trouser, since the trouser length is 34, divide by 2, we'll get 17. So we'll not use this 17. We'll minus 2 inches from it to have 15. So now our half length will be using what? We'll be using 15. All right. That gives our trouser a better fitting. So this is 15 here. We also extend to this side and mark our 15 so as to get a straight line. So this is it. All right. The next thing now, the next step is to get the full length of our trouser. So you can see that I'm teaching us how to cut this step by step, okay? So that you will not be lost what to do when you get to the table, all right? Very simple, step by step. The next step now is to get the full length of our trouser, and full length, to keep our tape from the beginning here, we'll measure down. The full length is 34. This is 34. We don't forget to add our hemming allowance. We'll just, since it's plain chinos, we will not add only 1.5 inch allowance instead of 2 inches as the regular case is. So we are still going to extend the measurement this way to get a straight line. 34 plus 1.5, 35.5. So this is the length of our chinos, right? The next thing is the hemming allowance for our chinos. I hope this is clear, and if so far you are enjoying what you are seeing, it's making sense, please hit the like button. The more likes I see, the more YouTube will recommend this video for others to watch. So I really appreciate if you can just like the video. If you can share it, I really appreciate. And if you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so that you're always notified when I drop my videos. Alright. So the next thing to do is for us to get the tie of our trouser. For us to get the tie of our trouser. Alright. So the tie, we'll get it on this our crotch line. You know, this is our crotch line. Let me label it. This is the crotch line. This is the knee point, the half length. This is our trouser length. This is our hemming allowance. Alright. So labeling like this, I think you understand much more better. So the next thing I'm going to do is to locate the tie of our trouser on this crotch line. Okay. So the tie is simply, the tie for this trouser we said is what? Is 22. And when you are cutting, you divide your tie measurement by 2. Alright. So since you have 22 divided by 2, that will be giving us what? 11. Alright. Let's measure this way. This is what? 11. You can see this is our 11 here. So this is our tie. Alright, from here to here marks our tie. Alright, so the next thing we are going to do now is to get our curve our crotch. Okay, but if you don't want to use your hip measurement, simply measure from here to here is 8. Alright, so extend this 8 on the hip line here, on the crotch line here. Alright, just extend this line on the crotch line. Okay, that's if in case you didn't take your hip measurement. But if you take it, the next thing for us to do is to measure 1.5 inch up here. Alright, and at this point is where you apply your hip measurement. Alright, for this customer I didn't take it. I'm simply going to add 1/2 inch here to get my hip allowance. Alright, if you take it, fine. For instance, if his waist is 28, if his hip is like, it will be around 34 thereabout, you divide the hip by 4. Alright, and 34 by 4 will give you what? We give you 7 thereabout, give you 8.5, and you can see this is 8.5. Alright, so you see, if on in ideal measurement where the hip was taken, you will get 8.5, and so my adding 1/2 inch still gave me 8.5. So it means what I'm doing is correct. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do now is to join this point to the waist here. Alright, now this line we've marked here is the hip line. Don't forget the hip line. Alright, so next thing to do is to curve this point and meet with our hip line here. I'm going to curve it. If you have your French curves, you can use them. If you don't have them, your free hands can still do that for you. Alright, so we cover our crotch here. The next thing we're going to do is to shape our trouser. Now, shaping your trouser, the simple way to shape your trouser is to identify the center point of your trouser. So how do you get the center point of your trouser? You measure from here to here. This is 11, remember? So we get the center point of this 11. Center point here. So getting a center point of this 11, we now measure from here to the end here. What are we getting? This is what? 5.5. So we'll extend the 5.5 downwards. But from experience, I don't use this exactly. When I get my midpoint, I minus 1 inch from it. So instead of using 5.5, I'm going to be using 4.5. I said from experience, I don't use this center exactly because it doesn't really give me the shape I want. So after getting my 5.5 as the midpoint, I'm going to reduce 1 inch from it and use 4.5. If you don't want to do that, you can use your midpoint, the 5.5. Maybe when you do it and have your own shape, you compare with this one I'm doing here. So I'm using 4.5 all the way down. Okay, 4.5 all the way down, 4.5 all the way down. Alright, so to aid me with the shaping of my trouser, I'm going to get the midpoint of between here and here. Alright, so between here to here, what's the midpoint? The midpoint is here. Alright, why am I doing this? Because I want my trouser to be straight between here to the end of the trouser. I want it to be straight. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to get the midpoint. Okay, I've not finished getting the midpoint, so let's finish the midpoint. Let's finish the center line. So let's join it. Alright, so this is our center line for the trouser that will now give us our fitting. Okay, so on this line we can now take our measurement, the ankle measurement. Instead of ankle measurement, we're going to be using 13, which is 6.5. So half of 13 is 6.5. Alright, so we are going to locate our 6.5 at the end of the trouser here. So using this center line, 6.5 is simply 3.25 plus 3.25 gives 6.5. So you see this is 6.5. Alright, so 3.25 this way, 3.25 this way will give you what? 6.5. This is 3.25. This is what? 3.25. You see, extend this same measurement here, we'll bring it to this midpoint here. 3.25, 6.5, 3.25, 6.5. Why did I do this? Because I want my chinos to be straight from here down. I don't want it to look like a plain trouser. Chinos is normally straight. That is one of the differences between chinos and plain trouser. It carries a straight shape mostly. Okay, so coming to the midpoint of our trouser here, this is the knee point. We're still going to our knee point. We said is what? Is 16. Divide by 2, that is 8. When you're cutting, you divide your midpoint, also your knee measurement, by 2. So 8 will simply mark 4 inches this way, and also 4 inches what? This way. To get our what? To get our 8. Alright? I hope we are following carefully. So, after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out our pocket. From here, the waist here, pocket down is what? Is 7. Now, there are some chinos that have jeans pocket. If you want it to have jeans pocket, simply you measure from this point here 2.5 inches inside, alright, and you measure down by what? Still 2.5, alright, and then you curve this. If you want your chinos to have jeans pocket, it's going to be like this. I hope it's what? It's simple enough. This is it. If you don't want it to have jeans pocket, simply you join this point to your 7 inches mark. That is the length of pocket, is 7 inches. You measure this to get your what? This is your pocket, alright? Either you use this pocket, straight pocket, or you use what? The jeans pocket. Whichever you choose to use is your choice. Thank you. So next is for us to join these points together. So we join this point to this point. I think you can see that this is a step-by-step method of cutting a trouser, and it's quite simple, alright? It's step-by-step and it's quite simple. Let me confirm something. Okay, step by step and it's quite simple. If you apply this method, believe you me, you will see a very good result. Right? So the next thing for us to do is to join this point now to this point here. Like I said before, one of the difference between chinos and plain trouser is that chinos is mostly more straight and fitting, except you didn't buy your size. If you go to the market and don't buy your size, it will be fitted. But normally chinos is designed to be fitted, alright? Fitted. That's how chinos is. Doesn't have much allowance. So I'm going to shape this line to stop at the what? The hip, the crotch line here, sorry. You see? So we can see that our chinos trouser is set. This is simply the best and the easiest way to cut a chinos trouser. Let's cut sharply so that we can move to the back piece and finish up. Hope you're enjoying this. Please, if you are enjoying this video, if it is making sense, I would really appreciate if you can hit the subscribe button. You can give me a thumb up. I'll be grateful to see that. If you can share the video, you made my day. Alright, so you see, we'll move to the back piece right now. So simply, we are going to, without wasting time, we are going to simply add 2 inches to the height of the waist. Alright, you see, 2 inches. And this way we are going to add 1.5 inch. Unlike plain trousers, you add here 2 inches, here 2 or 2.5. But for chinos, you don't have much allowance in chinos trouser. Okay, so we're using 1.5 here, and we're using 2 for the height of the back piece, and the wideness we're increasing by just 1.5 inch. So this our midpoint here. We're going to join it to here. All right. So okay. So now we're going to join this point to this point here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is to cut out this line here, and then we'll adjust it this way to get our back piece. Now, very importantly, take note of this. The trouser, any trouser at all, if it is cut correctly, the back piece is always bigger than the front piece. Alright, and I'm going to do a video to show us why. Okay, I already done a video, yes, that explains why it is so. So you can just check my videos and you'll find a video where I explained why the back piece of a trouser is always bigger than the front piece. I have that video in my videos, so you can look at it. So The next thing we are going to do now is to shift this front piece inwards, all right, giving an allowance of. Now for my plain trousers, when I'm giving an allowance of 2 inches here, I normally give 2.5 here, all right. If I'm giving, yes, I normally do that. I normally give 2 inches here, different, and up here I give 2.5. But for chinos trouser, the allowance is the same, all right, all the way down. So it's just going to be 2 inches, nothing much, nothing less. It's going to be 2 inches from up to down, 2 inches allowance, nothing bigger. 2 inches allowance from up to down. There's going to be 2 inches allowance. At no point is the allowance bigger, all right. That's one of the basic difference again between cutting a chinos trouser and cutting a plain trouser. Please take note. Now, how am I going to cut this here? When I'm cutting this side, when I get to this point, the back piece is always shallow. This curve here for the back piece is always shallow, all right. It's not as deep as the front piece, so I'm going to take it high by 1/2 inch there. So just take note. Watch me while I'm cutting. When I get to that place, you see what I'll do. So we have our front piece and we have our back piece. So guys, if you enjoy watching this video, if at all it made sense, I would really appreciate if you can hit the subscribe button, you can hit the like button, you can share the video. The more you like, the more YouTube will recommend it for others to also watch. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for always watching and commenting on my channel. I really appreciate. I won't be here without you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to Nat Fashion Hub, the best fashion channel in the world. Stay tuned, keep tuned. Stay tuned for my next uploads. Thank you so much.